This season in Formula One, Max Verstappen has demonstrated exceptional skill, putting him in a league of his own. While the competition among other drivers has been thrilling, the lack of a challenge from his teammate, Sergio Perez, has turned the championship into a somewhat predictable affair. While this situation may benefit Max and Red Bull, it has left the fans and F1 owners, Liberty Media, unimpressed. Fortunately, plans are underway to address this issue, but not in the way one might expect. Today, we will discuss the emergence of the Red Bull Dream Team behind the scenes and why it is actually beneficial for the sport. So, stay tuned. Let's begin by envisioning what an ideal Formula One season would look like. In a perfect world, every team would have a chance to win a race. Fans would anticipate each race weekend with the belief that anything could happen. Whether it was the track favoring a particular car or a driver's exceptional performance, any of the 20 cars could cross the finish line first. However, the reality is that such a scenario has never occurred in Formula One and is unlikely to happen. Driver skill, financial resources, and technical capabilities create significant disparities between teams. Since Liberty Media took charge of Formula One, their goal has always been to move closer to that ideal scenario. They aim to create a sport that embodies the ethos of the NFL, the most lucrative sports league in North America and on Earth. The NFL's tagline, "Any Given Sunday," represents what Liberty Media seeks to achieve in F1. Their objective is to build a sustainable ecosystem and a sport where, similar to the NFL, any team can win on any given day. Liberty Media CEO Greg Mathy emphasized this during an investors' call in April. The phrase "any given Sunday" in American football signifies that regardless of the apparent disparity between two teams, fans can attend a game with the belief that their team has a chance to emerge victorious. While replicating the exact essence of "any given Sunday" in Formula One may be impossible, we are currently quite far from that ideal. However, Liberty Media intends to change that, and the solution might come from an unexpected source: Red Bull. They are the best-positioned team to reintroduce competition to Formula One. I know this might sound ludicrous, but behind the closed doors of the paddock, the path to making it happen is being forged. As you watch this video, how many of you remember the intense battle between Hamilton and Rosberg in 2016? It was an incredible season. Although Mercedes dominated, the two drivers fought fiercely throughout the year. The spectacle was awe-inspiring, and that's precisely what Red Bull aims to recreate. The silly season in Formula One started prematurely with Daniel Ricciardo replacing Nick de Vries earlier this week. The news coverage speculated that Daniel would drive for AlphaTauri until the end of the season and potentially replace Sergio Perez next year if he performs well. However, Daniel is not the only option. Red Bull is exploring the possibility of creating a real dream team, comprising the best drivers in Formula One. Some media sources have suggested that Liberty Media is encouraging Red Bull to sign a driver who can challenge Max Verstappen. For the sake of spectacle in Formula One, the drivers of interest are Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc. I understand your skepticism. Red Bull would never want to upset Max, and why would any driver want to be his teammate, knowing that Red Bull may not favor them? First, let's address the concern about Red Bull upsetting Maximum. It's true that Max is currently the best driver on the grid, leading the team to numerous victories. However, the competition is catching up, and as the regulations remain in place, the chasing pack will inevitably close the gap. Red Bull will need a second driver who can consistently score significant points, something Sergio Perez has struggled to do. Max is not the type to be intimidated by competition. In fact, it would only fuel his motivation. Winning the Constructors' Championship holds significant value for Red Bull, and having a second driver who can at least challenge Max would greatly aid in that endeavor. Bringing in Lando or Charles would not upset Max, it would push him to excel even further. Since the passing of Red Bull's founder, Dietrich Mateschitz, the team's internal dynamics have changed. The vision and strategies for the future have evolved. One of their goals is to secure a second top-tier driver within the team. If Red Bull's new CEO, Oliver Mintzlaff, wants two top drivers, it will happen, whether Max approves or not. Now, let's talk about why Lando and Charles would be interested in driving for Red Bull. Starting with Lando, there was a meeting between Lando's manager, Mark Berman, and Red Bull's motorsport advisor, Helmut Marko, at the Red Bull motorhome during the Silverstone weekend. This meeting fueled speculation that Red Bull was targeting the British driver. While Lando is under contract with McLaren until 2025, Marko praised him as the strongest among the young drivers and suggested that Lando's youthful nature would suit Red Bull well. Marko also confirmed that discussions have taken place in the past and that both parties maintain contact. Similarly, Charles Leclerc has also been approached by Red Bull recently. Talks with Leclerc occurred in late May, exploring the possibility of a departure from Ferrari. Red Bull has been prioritizing Charles Leclerc's contract renewal, leaving Carlos Sainz uncertain about his future at Ferrari. Although Leclerc's contract runs until the end of next season, Ferrari's early attempts to secure a new contract are not unprecedented. Moreover, a compelling argument for Leclerc moving to Red Bull is his growing dissatisfaction with Ferrari's poor performance. This year and a half has been incredibly disappointing for Ferrari, especially considering their strong start in 2022. The team's pit wall has made numerous mistakes, and the car's performance has declined. Red Bull, Mercedes, Aston Martin, and even McLaren have surpassed Ferrari in terms of car performance over the past year and a half. Charles has been vocal about his frustrations, and it would not be unreasonable for him to seek a move to a more competitive team. All of this sounds quite exciting, doesn't it? The prospect of Lando or Charles alongside Max could recreate the intense title battle reminiscent of the 2016 season. However, there will inevitably be some losers if this were to happen. Sergio Perez's days at Red Bull are likely numbered, and Daniel Ricciardo's situation is worth considering. Just before Daniel rejoined AlphaTauri, the team that initially gave him his start in Formula One, he mentioned in an interview that he would only join the team if it paved the way for a return to Red Bull, as that is where he wants to conclude his career. Red Bull has seemingly given Daniel some assurance behind the scenes that if he performs well for the remainder of the season, he could be in line for a seat alongside Max in the near future. However, if given the choice, Red Bull would prefer Lando or Charles over Daniel. Both younger drivers have more years ahead of them and are arguably better in terms of skill. While Daniel has made his return to the grid, fans should not get their hopes up about him returning to Red Bull by the end of this year. The complexity of the situation lies in the contractual agreements involving all the parties. Sergio Perez is contracted with Red Bull until the end of next season, while McLaren is bound to Ferrari for the same duration. Lando Norris is committed to McLaren until the end of 2025. Although contracts can be broken, it often comes with a significant cost. Red Bull might be content with Checo at the end of this year, but severing the contracts of Norris or Leclerc would be an expensive proposition. With all these factors in mind, it's clear that discussions and developments are underway behind the scenes of the Red Bull motorhome. We eagerly await the unfolding of events. Now, let me hear your thoughts. Would you like to see another season like 2016, with two drivers from the same team battling for the driver's title? And who do you believe will replace Sergio Perez when the time comes? Share your opinions in the comments below. Until next time, drive safe, and goodbye for now. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for future updates, ensuring you stay informed about the exciting 2023 Formula One season.